Have you ever looked around your city and wondered why it feels so empty? Why the streets are packed with people, yet no one meets your eye? Why the buildings are so massive, yet the spaces between us keep growing? Do you ever feel like a stranger in the place you call home? Like you're surrounded by lives you'll never know, faces you'll never recognize, voices you'll never hear? Do you wonder why cities were once built for people, but now feel designed for something else entirely? And in the midst of all this movement, do you ever catch yourself staring at your phone, just like everyone else, searching for connection in a world that's right in front of you, but always out of reach? Welcome to the broadcast from the void. Let's talk about it. You are never truly alone in a city. There are always people, hundreds, thousands, millions, brushing past you on the subway, standing inches away in an elevator, their breath mingling with yours in the cold air of a midnight street. They are everywhere, and yet they are nowhere. Faces blurred in motion, eyes that never quite meet yours, conversations that rise and fall around you like a song you're not invited to sing. Here, loneliness is not the absence of people, it's the presence of too many. It's the sound of a crowded cafe where no one speaks to you. It's the packed train where everyone looks at their phone. It's the weight of silence in an apartment surrounded by hundreds of other apartments, where behind every wall, lives are being lived, parallel but never intersecting. We built this digital world, this interconnected maze, where you can summon food, a car, a conversation with the swipe of a finger. We made it so that everything is instant, effortless, without friction. But somehow, in erasing the barriers, we also erased the connections. We see each other in high definition, yet we are further apart than ever. Once upon a time, cities were built around people, not just as places to live, but as places to be together. The old city squares, the cobblestone streets, the open markets, these were the heartbeats of human connection. You walked to get where you were going, but in between, you bumped into life itself. A friend, a conversation, a moment of recognition. Cities weren't just structures, they were social organisms, alive with movement, with interaction, with chance encounters. Look at old photographs. A public fountain where children played, a park where strangers sat side by side and struck up conversations, a street where merchants called out and passers-by stopped to linger. These spaces weren't designed for efficiency, they were designed for presence. But then something changed. Modern cities were built with a different priority: speed, efficiency, convenience, the ability to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible, without friction, without interruption. Roads widened, sidewalks narrowed, public spaces became afterthoughts, designed to keep people moving, not to encourage them to stay. Where there were once town squares, now there are parking lots. Where there were once bustling markets, now there are shopping malls, private, enclosed, curated, transactional. And so the city became a place, not of interaction, but of isolation. You drive to work, you go to the gym, you order your groceries online. The spaces where people naturally gathered, the places where connections happened without effort, are disappearing. And in their place, empty streets lined with corporate facades, towering glass buildings reflecting nothing back at you but your own silhouette. When you live in an apartment, you are surrounded by people, above you, below you, to your left, to your right. Thin walls separate your life from theirs. You hear them moving, talking, laughing. You might even know the rhythms of their existence, the morning alarm, the late-night TV, the muffled arguments through plaster and concrete, and yet you don't know them at all. You live inches apart but exist in different worlds. There was a time when living close to others meant something different. A village, a neighborhood, a street where doors stayed open and names were known, where the person next door wasn't just apartment 4B, but someone you spoke to, someone who could lend you sugar or watch your kids when you had to step out. But the modern city changed that. Buildings stacked high, designed for efficiency, not connection. We live in vertical boxes, separated by locks, routines, and an unspoken agreement not to intrude. We build fortresses around our personal space and call it independence. It's strange, isn't it? How we crave privacy but ache for connection. How we want to be left alone but hate feeling unseen. Even the way we move through cities has changed. Public transportation, once a shared experience of proximity, is now a sea of people staring into screens. The simple act of waiting at a bus stop, sitting in a cafe, walking through a park, it's different now. There's an unspoken rule: don't engage, don't make eye contact, don't acknowledge the world beyond your own. Technology has played its part, of course. Why talk to a stranger when you can send a message to someone miles away? Why visit a store when you can order what you need with a tap? Why step outside at all when everything can be brought to your door? It's funny, isn't it, dear listener? How modern life has given us every tool to connect, yet left us with no idea how to do it. How you can share your thoughts with the world in an instant, yet struggle to look a stranger in the eye. How you can have hundreds of friends online, but no one to call when you can't sleep. And maybe that's the cruelest joke of all. The illusion of closeness, the illusion that we are always just one click away from being seen, from being heard, from being understood. But real connection? It's slower and more complicated. It's two people standing on the same sidewalk, caught in the rain, laughing at the absurdity of it all. It's the conversation with the barista who remembers your order, the neighbor you nod to in the hallway, the stranger on the train who catches your eye and doesn't look away. The city is loud, but the loneliness is louder. So if you're listening, if you've ever felt like a ghost in a crowd, know this: you are not the only one. Somewhere out there, someone is feeling the same silence, walking the same streets, searching for the same moment of recognition. Maybe, just maybe, you'll find each other. And maybe that will be enough. Good night and stay strong.